Small cars are a controversial topic in the US, and they shouldn't be, because it seems as though the only demographic of buyer that actually wants these are enthusiasts. They want affordable, fun cars with turbo 4s and sports tuned suspensions, and possibly a great transmission, whether it's automatic or manual. That's all we're asking for. But unfortunately, we live on this side of the Atlantic where everyone wants crossovers. You have the X1, X2, X3, X5. I mean, I think at some point there's going to be an X100. I think I'm going to live to see that day. But thankfully, BMW has given us a 228i once again. Now we have a new design, new technology, and also a revised chassis here that I think makes this car maybe a great buy. But my biggest question though for today's video, is it good? Is the 228i good? Because when you're comparing this to other small cars in this market, most Americans overlook these cars. Well, maybe for 2025, the 228i is worth taking a look at. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to BMW Sudbury in Sudbury, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the BMW 228i. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive BMW inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For 2025 with the BMW 228i, you're looking at a starting cost of just over $41,500. Now you can go with front wheel drive later on this year. That will be a 26 model coming in below 40 grand. Now we have no idea what the tariffs are going to do to this car because it is made in Germany. Go figure, because the M2 and the 3 Series are made in Mexico, and the 2 Series is the one that gets overlooked, and it's German built and German made. That's actually quite funny here. Now I do think though that for 2025 this car will not be overlooked like it was in the past. Mostly due to its pricing, because this car could become very appealing for those of you looking to get into the BMW lineup under $50,000. And then also what we have here in regards to the styling. One huge change, aside from the new front fascia and rear fascia, is the fact that BMW has now made the M Sport exterior standard for this model, which I think does go a long way, but lets us know that BMW is trying to make this car more sporty and youthful, not only for the exterior, but also the interior as well. So up front, you are going to receive full LED headlights and LED turn signal indicators. When you unlock this vehicle using your key fob, it gives you a nice light display. So very interactive and kind of cool for a car at around $41,000. Now with that M Sport exterior package coming standard, you're going to notice the gloss black trim for the grills, lower portion of the front bumper, and then also you have active side air vents, or functional side air vents, I should say, which is really cool to see. A lot of manufacturers cheap out there. They give you that design, but it's not functional. So the fact you actually have those curtains available, giving you that aerodynamic presence to this model, I think does go a long way. What I also love too here about the 228i for 2025 is the aggressive body lines on the hood. There are some elements to this sedan that kind of remind me of the 4 Series Gran Coupe as well, even though this car does have its own unique styling in the lineup. It doesn't even look like the X1 either. So I do love seeing that for a car that does share a platform with other vehicles in the lineup. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, I love the 18-inch wheels that we have here equipped for this car. This comes standard, and again, lets you know this car is supposed to be a bit more sporty compared to what we were last year at this time. I think the 18s are more than enough for a car of this size. I know some people might be a bit concerned about that road noise and harshness, because now for 2025, BMW did stiffen up the suspension. So we're getting a car that is going to be a bit more rigid and also performance oriented, and that might take away from the ride quality. But we'll find out in a minute when we take this car out for a test drive. Now we are going to have color matched side mirror caps with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. And then while we're taking a look at the side profile, we have some gloss black trim outlining the windows, and also the nice little 2 badge there. We're seeing a lot of that in the BMW lineup. And also we have a gloss black roof as part of an optional package, giving us that 2-tone design throughout for this model. And making our way around to the back, you are going to have full LED taillights here, matching what you have up front. But more importantly though is the fact that this car has the Gran Coupe moniker, but isn't designed like a Gran Coupe at all. In fact, when you look at the C-pillar architecture, it looks like a sedan. It looks like a 3 Series or 5 Series, and from certain angles, I see a 5 Series. So that might be the inspiration for this model, and actually it helps the 228i look like it actually belongs in the lineup now, which should go a long way. For the lower portion of the rear bumper, you are going to have the gloss black trim once again, since the M Sport exterior package is equipped on our model, and that comes standard. Now, sadly, we don't have functional air vents for the rear. Now, they're added to give this vehicle a symmetrical look, but I would love to see that in the future, but that is rare to find in a car at around $41,000. But probably more disappointing is the fact we don't have visible exhaust outlets, because what BMW is doing for this model, they're trying to make it more youthful and trying to draw in that younger consumer demographic, and the fact we don't have visible exhaust outlets makes the 228i look kind of like a hybrid, which maybe that is going to be coming down the road. Who knows? Taking a peek under the hood for the 2025 BMW 228i, you are going to receive a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing 241 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. That is a slight increase over last year, and it will most certainly be noticeable. But more noticeable is the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission that is now paired with this powertrain. So last year, you had an 8-speed ASIN, which, you know, I think fell short compared to a ZF-HP that is used in higher models in the product line. Now, with the 7-speed dual clutch though, you're probably thinking, oh, it's going to be clunky. It's going to be like that BMW X1 or X2. I have a feeling though, if you're looking at a 228i, you're a different type of buyer. You're looking for a sportier car, and you're going to find that here with that 7-speed dual clutch. 0 to 60 times come in at around 5.8 seconds, which is pretty standard for a car with this size of an engine. So I think a lot of you are going to be surprised and probably happy with what you have here for the 228i for 2025. But more importantly is that fuel economy. Now, we have all-wheel drive for our model. If this was a front-wheel drive version for the 228i, it would be a 2026, so keep that in mind. That is coming later on this year. But for fuel economy, you're looking at 26 miles per gallon in the city and 38 miles per gallon on the highway. That is phenomenal. I mean, you're talking about a car that is supposed to be sportier tuned, also supposed to be a bit more fun, and to get close to 40 miles per gallon, this isn't even a hybrid. That's really impressive. Hopping inside the new BMW 228i, you're greeted by pretty much an identical layout to the BMW X1 and X2, because all three models are built on the exact same platforms. They share a lot of characteristics, now the same technology and dashboard layout. However, with the 228i for 2025, you might be impressed here with the driving environment and how it is more youthful, performance-oriented, and does feel sporty, like this model is going to showcase for us when we take it out for a quick test drive. So starting off with the seats, you have perforated Vaganza upholstery. Now these seats are power adjustable. The driver's side does have 2-position memory for added convenience. These seats are sport seats, and this comes standard for 2025. What does that give you? Well, you have a lot of bolstering, a lot of grip, and depending on your body frame, you're going to be very snug being behind the wheel of this car. I will say, though, that with these seats, the way the dashboard is laid out, also with that lower roofline, you do feel a bit more claustrophobic in here. I think for a smaller person, this will be a better choice. Whereas if you are a bit bigger, you might want to go with that 3 Series or 5 Series. Because even for myself, I feel like I'm in more of a cocoon here, and I feel like I'm in more of a cockpit, which some of you might actually like for a car that is going to be a bit more sports tuned. Now, with these sport seats, you also have this nice sports steering wheel with aggressive 10-2 and firm 9-3 grips, and feels really nice in the hand. So we're starting off pretty good here for the interior. This is a great first impression. But then let's talk about the new technology. So you have a nice conjoined screen here with BMW's iDrive 9 software and also a full digital gauge cluster. By using the buttons on the right side of the steering wheel, you can scroll through a variety of information and customize this layout to your liking. Now, for some BMW 228i's, if you go with optional packages, you can also get a head-up display, and you can adjust that from this screen as well. So from here, you can adjust the layout, you can adjust what content you're going to be seeing here. I would leave the navigation map up. Just my take here with this car. Now, obviously, when you do change different drive modes, this screen does change up colors a bit, so it gives you some intuitiveness. Now, I'm not going to say this is super in-depth, but we are seeing a lot of this in the BMW product line. So it does give you more of a modern interior and modern feel for this car. Now, taking a look at the infotainment system, this is BMW's iDrive 9 user interface with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. You also have the Harman Kardon audio system here, which will amplify the audio of your favorite music. Now, we're seeing this in a lot of new BMW products, not only the X1 and X2, obviously being built on the exact same platform. We're also seeing this with the X3. However, for the 3 models that are built on this specific platform, there is one huge drawback, one huge takeaway that I personally don't like. Now, BMW claims that this is better for a younger consumer demographic. Now, maybe me at 32, I'm old now, I'm a boomer, and I don't like this layout, because with the BMW 228i, you don't get a rotary dial and quick access buttons on the center console. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you own a 3 Series or any other larger BMW product, you're going to be reaching for that dial and it isn't there. Now, the iDrive 9 user interface is laid out the exact same as the iDrive 8, iDrive 7, but still, you're not used to reaching for the screen solely and having this be a touchscreen. So that is going to create a bit of a learning curve here. On the left side of this user interface will be quick access icons though, to get you back to your home screen, your media, telephone, and navigation system. At the bottom of the screen will be your touch sensitive icons for your dual zone climate control, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, and then also an icon that gets you to your widgets here. So this is laid out like a lot of Android based software. And I do like this layout because we're seeing a lot of this now in the automotive industry, but it will take some time to get used to, especially without that dial. So if you're on the road and you're reaching for that screen, take a few minutes of time and also be very safe. I don't think this is user friendly, but that's just my opinion on this one. Now, there are 3 buttons on the center console which do affect what you see on the screen in front of you, such as your park assist features, which then opens up your camera systems. Also, my modes, you have 3 different drive modes to choose from: personal, sport, and efficient. I would leave it in sport at all times because this dual clutch pairs up very well with this engine, and it is more sports tuned, so it makes sense. Personal, you might notice that the 7-speed is a bit clunky, but that's why I think with the 228i for 2025, just leave it in sport. And the last button quickly gets you to your driving settings menu. So from here, you have your driver assistance, drivetrain and chassis. You can turn on or off hill descent control, lane departure warning, auto vehicle hold. So some quick access buttons here, but nothing like you would see in a BMW X3 or BMW 3 Series. Then obviously when you place the 2 Series in reverse, you are going to receive a rear backup camera with trajectory, also parking sensors as well. However, if you do go with the $1,500 technology package, which we don't have equipped on our model today, you will have a head-up display, Parking Assist Plus, and then also a parking view with 3D view. So giving you a bit more safety and also tech. I think for a car at $41,000, $1,500 would be a nice add-on for this small Gran Coupe. Continuing on towards the center console, you are going to have some accent lighting here. We're seeing a lot of this now in the BMW product line. I think it does go a long way and makes this car feel a bit more premium, because with the dashboard, with the hard touch plastics, it does feel a bit more cheap compared to a 3 Series or 5 Series. So the accent lighting should go a long way late at night when you are cruising around in the city and suburbs. Beneath that, you are going to find a wireless phone charging pad, 2 cup holders, 12-volt outlet, 2 USB-C inputs. Then for the center console itself, you are going to have that gear selector here. We see a lot of this now in the BMW product line. Front and rear defrosters, then that same button layout we talked about earlier on with the infotainment system. Then next to that will be your volume knob and then tuning buttons. And lastly will be the button for your hazards. For the center storage compartment, there is enough room for some smaller items, maybe a couple wallets or smartphones, but that's basically it. Not expecting anything too large here with the 228i. And then to round out the front seating area, for our model, we do have a panoramic moonroof, which brings in a lot of natural light to the interior, and that is part of an optional package. Let's briefly go over that. So if you are like the person that is going to be buying this 228i and you don't offer that technology package, you also have the premium package for $1,600, giving you a remote engine start. So nice little touch if you do live in colder regions of the US. That panoramic moonroof, and then lastly, that black roof. So we have a 2-tone look for the exterior on our model. Do you really need it? Maybe, maybe not. But if you want to have that extra light making its way into the cabin, I think it might be worth it at the end of the day. And quickly for passengers in the back, you're looking at right on 34.5 inches of legroom. And this right here is why traditionally small cars never do well in the US, because buyers would prefer an Audi Q3, BMW X1, Mercedes-Benz GLA, and of course a Cadillac XT4, which we don't have anymore after this year. But I think a lot of buyers are preferring crossovers right now. However, if you don't have a family, you don't have people in the back at all times, and you're looking for a fun daily driver, that's what the 228i might make a lot of sense. Now, I will have to caution you, though, is that being back here, it is going to be pretty cramped and claustrophobic, because you do have an aggressive center hump. And with that, you're going to lose a lot of legroom, and you'll be fighting for that elbow room. So this isn't the most practical or family-friendly. But as a daily driver, and for you as the driver and solely the driver, this car might make a lot of sense if you're looking for an upscale version of, say, a Volkswagen GTI. Now, the seat isn't adjusted all the way back, but it is somewhat on a recline. And I have a few inches of legroom remaining, but I can tell that if there's someone around the height of 6 feet tall and above, I am going to be cramped and claustrophobic. Headroom-wise, taller passengers will be hitting their head on the headliner. So again, go with the BMW X1 in this market and price range if you are looking for an affordable BMW. Whereas with the 228i, it is going to be small. It feels like every other small car in this market. It's just that I think what this car is going to be offering us in regards to performance for 2025 might make a world of a difference if you are looking at a CLA or Audi A3, possibly a Cadillac CT4. Now back here, you are going to have two rear air vents to go along with two USB-C inputs, no heated outboard seats, but you are going to receive a center armrest with two cup holders. Making our way around to the back one more time to take a look at the rear cargo area. With this being a 228i, you're not going to have a power trunk. But inside, behind the second row seat, you're looking at right on 15 cubic feet of room. Pretty much the same as last year, although some people are saying it's closer to 12 cubic feet. And that doesn't make a lot of sense because for 2025, this is built on the exact same platform as last year, and it is a bit longer than last year, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense. I was able to fit all my camera gear today with no issues. Has 3 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod. And there was a few inches for some other items as well. So not the most practical. This is hardly a Gran Coupe. In fact, this is more like a sedan, because if you are comparing this to a 4 Series, for example, that has a traditional hatchback-like design. This kind of looks like a sedan from back here. Now, you can lower the second row seats to maximize cargo capacity, but again, if you're looking for that practicality, go with the BMW X1. On the right side of this cargo area, you will have some netting for some smaller items, maybe a couple water bottles, car detail equipment, or maybe even a first aid kit. Beneath the floor mat, you are going to have additional storage for some smaller items, maybe one bag or two, and other electronics. So you will have some safety there and security if you do leave this vehicle unattended for a while. But I do think, though, that if you are someone looking for an affordable BMW that does have the practicality, same technology, and maybe also feels as sporty as this model, go with that X1. But again, if you're just looking for a fun daily driver, the 228 should be more than sufficient. So to answer the question of whether the BMW 2 Series is good for 2025, it really comes down to where you're coming from. If you own a BMW 3 Series with a cluster architecture platform, you might not feel compelled to downgrade to the 2 Series. But if you're someone who wants a BMW and the tariffs are scaring you a bit, and you don't want to spend over $50,000, I think what BMW has done for 2025 is actually more than enough in this market. Because think about it, you are comparing this to a Mercedes-Benz CLA, Audi A3, possibly a Cadillac CT4. I would think the Cadillac CT4 was the best in this market if they gave that dashboard the new technology from GM, but they don't. When you're comparing this to the Audi A3, Mercedes-Benz CLA, I mean, power-wise, this could be very competitive, especially against that A3. Now, with 241 horsepower, close to 295 pound-feet of torque, this is a bit more peppy than it was before. The 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission is pretty nice here. I will say this kind of feels like a Volkswagen GTI in a way, just the way it's turning. You don't feel the weight in the rear since this is a front-wheel drive bias platform, even though we have all-wheel drive, but you just notice the turning is quite different compared to the 3 Series. The 3 Series feels a bit more performance-oriented, even for a 330i, whereas the 228, you can still tell this is a car probably for the masses, for a vehicle at around $41,000 to start. But still, though, if you're someone looking to buy a luxury vehicle, I think that what BMW has done here is more than competitive in its market. Now, being behind the wheel of the new 2025 model, I will say it feels a bit more sporty than the last time I featured the 2 Series Gran Coupe. Now, BMW did add some rigidity to the suspension and chassis. You kind of feel it. It feels a bit more rigid here, and you go over the bumps and imperfections, and it is quite stiff, but that helps out with the steering input and the handling. Now, unlike a 3 Series or other cars built in the cluster architecture platform, I do notice that the 2 Series, at least for the 228, the steering is quite light. It's not as firm, not as weighted as a 330i. And that could be because we are on a front-wheel drive-based platform, but still, for someone looking for an authentic BMW feel, a true BMW experience being behind the wheel, you might want to spend a little extra for that 3 Series. In sport mode, this engine is actually quite docile. It's a bit quiet, and that goes hand in hand with the interior insulation. I am a bit surprised here at around 40 miles an hour. You're not really hearing a lot of the outside world, and it is somewhat windy today, so pretty impressive here. Now with the 7-speed dual clutch automatic, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's going to be clunky, because you have that with the X1 and X2, and that has been a big complaint. For a small car like this though, I think the 7-speed is going to be probably welcomed a bit more, because you're buying a car that's supposed to be sporty and fun, whereas an X1 or X2, that's a vehicle for buyers who don't want to spend over $50,000 for an X3. So they're expecting the same quality, the same smoothness, and they're not going to get that with the X1 or X2. With the 2 Series though, and this 7-speed, I do like it more than the 8-speed ASIN from the 2024 model. Because when you're comparing the ASIN to the ZF 8-speed, you know, that's really difficult to make that leap and to say that both are on par with each other. The 7-speed dual clutch, this is similar to a lot of cars in its market. Like I said before, it kind of reminds me of a Volkswagen GTI in a way. It's peppy. But that 7-speed dual clutch though, I don't notice it being too clunky here. Now, I'm on back roads, I'm not in stop-and-go traffic, and I'm kind of numb to dual clutches, you know, having owned a Volkswagen GTI for many years. So I'm not noticing the clunkiness, but some of you might. For me, I think in this application, this is the right transmission. On the brakes, not too bad here. Yeah, this car is built for roads like this. I love how playful and agile it is too. And I think that is one thing that is being overlooked for the new 2 Series. This feels a bit more European than it did before. Yes, it's still same platform, same chassis, only made some slight revisions. But this does feel like a Euro car. And that might be because it's built in Leipzig, but still, it just has a Grand Tourer feel that I actually find a bit intoxicating here. Well, you're not receiving all the bells and whistles, creature comforts, amenities, or a car that feels truly performance oriented and has the refinement of a 3 or 5 Series. I think right now in 2025, for the pricing of this car, at around $41,000 to start. Later on this year, you get the front wheel drive only for right under 40 grand. You know, even with the tariffs kicking in, this might be a compelling choice. And like I said before, I think that if you're someone hopping into a luxury car for the first time, you are going to be truly impressed with this little car here. If you own a 3 Series, probably not. And I think that's what this car is designed to do. It's designed to get new buyers into the brand. And I think now for 2025, they've done that. This feels more authentic BMW than a car being built on a Mini Cooper platform. And really, I think what BMW has done here, they've made some great strides for this small little Gran Coupe. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2025 BMW 228i. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys next time.